What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back, everyone. This is Lee, and yes, today's the day we'll be talking about the Mitakon 50mm 0.95 lens. So, without further ado, let's begin. Now, right before we get started, I just want to let all my audience know that Mitakon did send this lens out for me for evaluation, but I just want you guys to know that they have no say in my opinion. So, let's take a look at this lens now. Alright, so when you buy the Mitakon 50mm 0.95 lens, you will get it in this box right here. 1 second, let me take it out. And here we go, here we go. Alright. So this is the Mitakon 50mm 0.95 Speedmaster lens, and this is the Leica mount version, so you could definitely attach this to your other mirror system with an adapter. And this lens has a built-in lens hood, as you can see. Ooh, that was very nice. And also, the aperture ring is very nice. I like that. Can we hear that? That is very nice. And also the focus ring, very smooth. Wow, this is really smooth. And also this entire lens is full metal. Now, for those folks that did not see my previous video, I do have the Megadap adapter, which I can attach this particular lens onto my Nikon. So one moment, let me put that on right now. So here's my setup, the Nikon Z6II along with the Megadap adapter with the Mitakon 50mm 0.95 lens, and with this setup right here at 0.95, I could get autofocus. That is pretty cool. Yeah, that's actually pretty nice. Now, in this entire video, we'll be comparing the Mitakon lens versus a medium format Pentax 6x7 55mm right here. We'll be comparing it with the Helios lens as well, and we'll be comparing with the 50mm 1.4 Nikon lens, and also the Super Takumar 55mm 1.8 lens. So with all that said, let's begin. So here's our first scene. We are taking a picture of this transmission tower, and the sun is behind me. We are on a cloudy day. On the left is 0.95 Mitakon, and on the right is 0.14 Mitakon. And as you can already tell, that this reflective transmission tower at 0.95 is chromatic aberrating. There's a lot of chromatic aberration all over the image. So here's 1.4, and as you can see that we have the Nikon 1.4 and the Takumar at 1.8. Now, clearly we could tell that the Mitakon at 1.4 is sharper than the Takumar and the Nikon. So here's f2. The Mitakon looks slightly sharper than the Nikon, but if you take a look at the bottom, it looks slightly softer. Now, the Helios looks soft and the Takumar looks soft at f2. At 2.8, the story remains the same. I will have to say that the Mitakon looks quite identical like the Nikon, but at the bottom it looks slightly softer, whereas the Helios and Takumar are both soft. At f4, the Nikon and the Mitakon looks quite identical, whereas the Takumar and the Helios look quite a tad softer. At 5.6, the story remains the same. Around f8, everything looks very even. Same with f11, same with f16. Now, let's take a look at the Pentax 6x7 medium format lens. This is at f4. As you can clearly tell that the Mitakon is sharper than the Pentax 6x7 medium format 55mm. At 5.6, the story remains the same. The Mitakon is sharper than the medium format lens. And at f8, the story remains the same. The Mitakon is sharper than the Pentax medium format lens. So here's the next test. We are shooting at this grow light, and this is my snake plant. As you can see at 0.95 versus 1.4, the Mitakon at 0.95 looks slightly dreamier, of course, than the 1.4. So that is pretty good if you're doing video. Here's 1.4, and the Takumar is doing some LED waving lines, whereas the Nikon seems to be pretty good on the bloom, whereas the Mitakon seems to bloom just a little bit. At f2, as you can already tell that the Helios looks kind of funky with the LED reflection, whereas the Mitakon looks like it's handling the bloom pretty well. f2, with the Nikon looks like it's handling the bloom pretty good. At 2.8, whoa, Nikon is having that LED reflection, so is Helios having that LED reflection. The Mitakon don't have that, nor does the Takumar. At f4, the Helios still is having the LED reflection issue, so does the Nikon. The Takumar do not have this issue, nor does the Mitakon. The Mitakon is blooming just a bit, whereas the Takumar looks like it's kind of warm. I think that's from the radiation. At 5.6, the story remains the same. Helios is reflecting the LED light, whereas the Mitakon is handling that pretty well. The Nikon looks like it's done with the LED problems, and the Takuma looks kind of warm. Now, for the f8, only the Helios is having problems at f8 right now. At f11, I have to say the Helios is still having the LED problem, whereas the Mitakon looks pretty good, the Nikon looks pretty good, and so does the Takuma. And at f16, I'll have to say that the Helios is still having that LED problem reflection, and the Takuma is quite warm. The Mitakon and Nikon looks pretty good. And as for the medium format, whoa, look at that. Yeah, the medium format lens seems to have some interesting silver flaring going on. That's very interesting. So be careful with that when you're doing video with the 6.7 lens. The Mitakon is blooming just like before. Yeah, 5.6, you can see that interesting blooming going on with the 6.7. I don't know what that is. That's an interesting phenomenon in that lens. The Mitakon looks a lot pleasant. At f8, yeah, there we go again. Yeah, f8. They both look kind of same in this particular position right here, but yeah, that's an interesting thing with the 6.7. F11, yep, there we go again. I prefer the Mitakon over the 6.7 just because of that, you know, I don't like that silver blooming thing that's going on in the Pentax. I don't know what that is. F16, yep, same deal. You get that in the Pentax 6.7, whereas the Mitakon looks like a natural bloom flare going on, so yeah. So for this next test, we are doing this video on my mannequin right here. We have natural light coming from above. And in this test right here, you guys get to see the bokeh difference in video. And we are still using the Megadap adapter. And also, I want to mention that if you guys see any jitters, it's coming from the Electron, not from the Megadap adapter. The Electron sometimes shakes a bit. And then f2, yeah, I don't have so much to complain about. They all look pretty good. I could definitely edit either one of them, but yeah, let me know down below what you guys think. Here's 2.8, and yeah, everything looks more or less the same to me. Here's f4. Here's 5.6. Here's f8. Here's f11. Here's f16. Here is the f4 versus the medium format lens. Here's 5.6. Here's f8. Here's f11, and here's f16. So here's the next test. We are doing a sharpness test. This is 0.95 versus 1.4, and this is Aristotle in the middle. As you can clearly tell that the 0.95 is softer than the 1.4. So here's the Mitakon at 1.4 versus Nikon 1.4 and the Takuma at 1.8. Now, the 1.8 Takuma looks obviously sharper than the rest in this situation. The Mitakon looks, I guess, kind of sharper than the Nikon. Yes, the Mitakon is sharper than the Nikon 1.4. Here's the f2, and as you can see that the Mitakon is the sharpest out the bunch. You can see that the text, the Aristotle, is sharper than the rest of the lenses. At 2.8, the story remains the same. I have to say that the Mitakon in this situation is the sharpest one than the rest of the bunch. And keep in mind, we are using two studio lights. Now at f4, I have to say that the Mitakon is slightly, just a hair sharper than the Nikon. At f4, the Takuma looks slightly softer than the Nikon, but it's sharper than the Helios. The Helios is the softest one from the bunch. At 5.6, the Mitakon looks sharper. I think they look quite even. Nikon and Mitakon looks quite even actually. Helios is the softest one, and number 3 is Takuma, I believe. So yeah. At f8, I have to say that Helios is the softest one, and the Mitakon, Nikon, and Takuma looks quite identical in terms of sharpness. At f11, Helios is coming back. Helios looks almost sharp, but it's getting there. But Nikon, Mitakon, and Takuma looks quite identical in terms of sharpness. At f16, I'll have to say that they're all even at this point. Yeah, looks like they're all even at this point. So yeah. Here's f4 versus the 6.7 lens, and the Mitakon is sharper than the Pentax 6x7 55mm f4 lens. So yeah. And at 5.6, I'll have to say that the story remains the same. The Mitakon is sharper than the medium format lens. At f8, yeah, the story remains the same. The Mitakon is sharper than the 6.7 lens. At f11, the Mitakon is still slightly sharper than the 6.7 lens. And at f16, it looks quite, looks quite identical at this point. F16 looks identical, yeah. So in conclusion, at $800, Mitakon is selling this lens that is giving you a really sharp image at 1.4. Also, it gives you that versatility at 0.95 to get that dreamy look in both photo and video if you want. And also, with this built-in lens hood, it's just, yeah, there is no lens hood with any of my vintage lenses. None of these lenses have any lens hood, so this is actually a plus because I hate carrying lens hood around. I like lenses that have built-in lens hood just like this. Ooh, that is very nice. And also with the smooth focus ring and the Megadap adapter, this entire user experience was actually really pleasant because getting 0.95 in focus was pretty hard manually. So with Megadap adapter, it made life a lot easier, especially with the other lenses, especially with the 6.7 lens as well. But all in all, I know $800 is quite steep. So who is this lens for? I'll have to say that this lens is for those folks out there that are shooting vintage lenses, manual lenses, and you guys are just like me. We are out there buying these once classic lenses, but now they're really affordable online, of course, for like what, 40 bucks, 50 bucks. And you guys are wanting to graduate because everyone that you know have the same set of lenses. This is probably the next step. This lens is going to give you a unique look and it's going to give you something very different from the competition. So with all that said, thank you guys for checking me back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely click like and subscribe. And also I just want to thank Mitakon for sending this lens out for evaluation. This whole testing has been a rude awakening for me. And the next time when I see a Mitakon lens on the market, I know that their optics are very exceptional. So with all that said, take it easy. Peace.